De La Soul has done something very few hip hop groups have been able to do. Now we all love De La Soul, so we you know what time it is with that. But their recent album Cabin in the Sky is the 9th studio album by De La Soul and the group's first album since the death of member Trugoy the Dove, rest in peace. 9 albums by a hip hop group is not something we see regularly. And groups don't seem to be in style right now. But De La Soul, but De La Soul lays the continuous foundation and the model for such. So let's watch this video, and I'm gonna have a couple of questions that we can talk about.
I mean, it was a common goal to be a group.
Yeah.
It's been God's blessing to stay a group.
Yeah.
You know, it shows a testament of our brotherhood because we definitely been through some things, but the importance is how you come out the other side.
Yeah.
Coming out the other side shows the true testament of your brotherhood.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't realize that brotherhood until those moments actually happen, you know? And we had some strenuous moments, but we always resort back to us three, and we took our problems home.
Yeah.
We never did.
And we were brothers.
Yeah.
Like, we were truly
family fight.
Yeah.
You do feel bad.
As he said, we always saw ourselves as a group. No one could come and be like, yo, Posh, you should do this solo record. Yeah, all right, whatever. Like, we are a group. We're brothers, man. Yeah. We love each other.
That's rare, man. You don't hear, group like to what we talked about in the intro. You don't hear that too often. But the question I would pose is, does De La Soul's ability to release a 9th studio album 35 years later officially categorize them as the Rolling Stones of hip hop, a band that exists beyond the era that birthed them? Now, keep in mind, it's impressive to be able to drop an album with any type of hiatus, but you think 9, and we're talking about these numbers, that's incredible to get somebody to actually still want to check that out. You've skipped multiple eras and still been able to be, I guess somewhat relevant. So what do y'all think about that?
And I'll say this, I listened very briefly to this album today. Mm-hmm. It's pretty good.
It's good. Yeah.
Like it's a good album.
I think it's really good.
Yeah. It's very solid.
From what
I wasn't sure what I was,
Yeah.
expecting, but
what do y'all think about the actual, like the comment, in the question about the Rolling Stones comparison? Like, is there anything there? Do you guys see that? Can you draw a parallel to that or a comparison to that?
I get why they say those things just because of, when they started and the fact that we're this many years later. But at the same time, I hate when they try to compare, they call somebody the Rolling Stones or the Led Zeppelin of rap. I mean, when they're their own entity. Let's just go ahead and stop, trying to draw parallels between another genre so we can make people who maybe don't pay attention to hip hop more comfortable. I've just always hated that. I remember when Peter Rosenberg said something about a Tribe Called Quest, at Five Dog's funeral, something about them being the Led Zeppelin or Rolling Stones. I was like, just stop. They're the Tribe Called Quest. But I do think it is special that, and we're seeing this a lot, with groups who are, who started out 30 plus years ago, and we still care about what they're doing. Like, maybe not to the same extent, but like, I was still happy to hear Mobb Deep album coming off saying something else from Mass Appeal. Yeah. I talked about how like Public Enemy just put out an album. I don't like it as much as the De La or the Mobb Deep album, but I still like it because I love Public Enemy and I'm glad I can get anything from them. I just think that we should be able at this point to have our own like markers without having to compare it to some rock group or whatever. Like at this point, they're De La Soul. We should appreciate them for being De La Soul and being able to be here and do something that we're excited about. And when I first heard the group in 88, 89, and I'm still rocking with them as a fan, like I was when I was 11 or 12 years old. I think that we have to. It's kind of like last week when it was like, the rappers talking about I'm a rock star and this, that, and the third. It was like, all right, whatever. Like hip hop is its own thing. And it's global and it's huge. We don't have to set our markers in anything and say, hey, it's the Rolling Stones, it's the Doors of this and that. No, let's not do that.
Jump in, B, as it relates to the.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that just because hip hop is the only thing like that you got to have something to compare it to. You know what I mean? Like,
do we?
Yeah.
And rock is older. Like that, I feel the comparison is to something that has existed for a long time, and hip hop is new. Yeah. I don't think it's like
it's not anymore though.
To me, this statement is not like, oh, in what type of way is De La Soul kind of exactly like the Rolling Stones? It's just like what the Rolling Stones represents to rock music is De La Soul the same hip hop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Kind of, sort of. But
it's not a direct comparison.
Yeah, to kind of bounce off of Jay's sentiment, there's different parameters, and you can kind of see it as a compliment, stating that, okay, they're standing the test of time and they're still doing it 35 years later, like the Rolling Stones.
Sure.
But when I'm comparing somebody to the Rolling Stones, and this is not to take anything away from De La Soul. De La Soul is not like when we're comparing the genres, they wouldn't represent who in rap would be comparable to the Rolling Stones.
To the Stones.
That's my only
from a popularity standpoint.
From a popularity standpoint, because Rolling Stones can still tour stadium.
Yeah.
Right now, De La Soul, they can still tour, but they're not stadium status act. They're not a stadium status act. I think what they speak to is the test of time, being able to stick together, like they were saying in the video, as brothers and as family, essentially, because like you see a lot of groups go through changes because of contracts or being upset at the other cat in the group because he's more popular than you, and egos getting in the way, things of that nature. I salute De La for being true to themselves and not letting the industry ruin their chemistry.
Absolutely.
To where they can continue to keep putting out albums 35 years later. I think that's kind of the thing that stands out to me for them. I don't like comparing them to Rolling Stones because, like I said, it's a different level.
No, I agree.
I just think I'm stripping everything away. I'm not talking about. To me, I look at it as the operative word here is the longevity. I'm not talking about record sales. I'm not talking about who was more successful. I'm talking about them being able to still be relevant X amount of years later. I think that's where the comparison comes in, because I'm not comparing the venues. I'm not comparing none of that. No. I'm just talking about the fact that they can still be rocking this long after is the only part that I'm really taking from
again, it goes back to hip hop is the newest form of art when it comes musically. So like we're still setting standards in the realm of hip hop.
That was the point I was gonna make, man. Like as far as American culture goes, and just what we've given, culture as a whole, like what we've given to the world, hip hop is a baby. You know what I mean? And older, like up until this point, you aged out. You get to a certain age and you're not allowed to put music out no more.
Yeah.
So what people are doing right now, as far as the legacy acts, and they're putting out quality projects, is unprecedented. You know what I mean? So when you get a Nas or a De La or something like that putting out a project, people are actually listening to it and receptive to what they're putting out.
That's big for the culture.
It's still being written.
Yeah, that's big.
It's literally still being written.
But that's what they're saying. Like that's why that's the only thing you have to compare,
right?
Is to rock right now, because a new form of music that's come out. You know what I mean? And the older they got, the people continue to gravitate to their music and wanted to listen to them. The more they came out. Will De La ever be able to do a stadium tour? Probably not. But they'll be able to do a nice theater.
I'm talking about consistently though.
Yeah.
Like across the country.
If they could do Marat right now.
They could go to White River.
They could do that.
They could be one of the acts over at Klipsch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
With a group of other cats, but like it's
Rock the
Bells Cruise even.
Yeah.
It's just like we're pretty much agreeing to is we're setting a new standard here. So the rules and things of that nature haven't all been written down.
And it's just new to us because we've grew up with hip hop, and hip hop has grew up at the same exact time as us.
That's true.
So we're seeing how it transcends and transforms and turns into other genres that were already out before we were born. And it just is what it is, man. We have to appreciate it for what it is and be respectful that these artists didn't let people tell them, you're 25 years old, you ain't supposed to rap no more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
you know what I'm saying?
Respectfully, there's certain acts I just don't care to see anymore.
Yeah,
like I don't want to go nowhere and see MC Shan. You know what I mean? He don't got no teeth though.
We might need to go see him so he can get some teeth.
I knew
just
you
saying,
couldn't.
like-
But the thing is, he must not want the teeth.
Yeah, thank
because he gets money from the things that people have sampled of his.
Mhm.
You know, so I was like,
Are we sure of that?
let him tell it. But you know, everybody's going to tell their own story. But I think you all made really good points. I think I was just on my, why do we have to qualify their success through white validation?
Sure, I get that.
But I also think that, like, if you're going to do that, at least do it correctly. Like you said, the Rolling Stones wasn't the one to compare. You're going to say the Rolling Stones. Wu-Tang just did a
Sure.
stadium tour, you know. But at the same time, there's part of me that was like, why can't we say, you know, they're the new edition of hip hop? Because
Okay, good compared to R&B.
I see,
You know what I'm
where
saying?
you going with that. I
You know,
get it.
so-
But
you
New
know,
Edition
this is
didn't
still-
have that.
think about it, new edition,
Be
Stadium
careful on-
Act from
be
the
careful
jump,
on-
Stadium Act
be
from the
careful.
jump.
How long was New Edition's run?
Hey man, you can't
It's
just
still
can't do
going
that
on.
with this one.
It's still going on
You can't
now.
do that with
Going
this
on.
one.
Yeah,
We're
we
Believe
talk-
me, I know.
Yeah.
I've said on this many times as we went on massive New Edition tangents for seems like hours.
Yeah.
But
Be careful.
I wouldn't even
but-
say new edition. I think you actually kind of
Because new edition, Wu-Tang literally is its own opening act.
it'd be
The
like
same
Jeff
way new
Beck or
edition.
something. It'd be some like rock artist that has continued to be successful, but
Yeah,
just
yeah.
at the level of the art.
Mhm.
You know, and I think the thing that stands out to me about all this is that this De La right now, even though they are a legacy act, they don't sound like a legacy act.
There we go.
They sound like this new album is really good.
Mhm.
Like, and it doesn't sound like it's 1997.
Mhm.
It doesn't
No,
sound like it's
no, no.
1993. It doesn't sound like it's 2007. It just sounds like De La.
It doesn't sound like 2013.
It
Like,
sounds
you know,
good.
Yeah.
It sounds good. You know, like there's some records that sound super old, but they did it on purpose, and it was like kind of part of it. But I think that's the other piece of it too. It's just like this isn't like just a legacy. This isn't a greatest hits album. They dropped another one with, you
It's
know,
a dope record.
we
And they
still
put it
out
out.
here doing it.
35 years. You know,
Yeah.
which
We're
is a very
still
long
out
time
here doing
as a group. Which
That's
is the
im-
big piece.
That's
as a
impressive.
group,
Never
you know, like
broke up.
Outkast stopped in like 2003,
True.
4,
True.
somewhere around there. So it's like we typically call them one of the greatest, if not the greatest, hip hop groups of ever. If you want to call them a duo or a group or whatever, but like
group.
you know,
De
sometimes
La has
people
some
like
influence on them.
Absolutely.
Like, because when we start talking about influence, that's more so the talk that I think De La Soul gets in the rap game. Is
But-
what they influence.
But even still with this, when we talk about all of the historic groups, 2 or more people,
There's
Tribe-
always
Tribe-
something.
Tribe dropped something, right after Fife passed, was
Yep,
it?
right
Mhm.
after Fife Pass.
But
De La put out a record like around that same time.
around the same time as well.
That
Yeah.
was a good album too.
and the Anonymous Nobody. But what
Mhm.
I'm saying is like, you don't see this in hip hop. You don't see groups stick together over multiple decades
No.
and continue to do this. This to me, that's why this is unprecedented.
And the
This-
music
you
still
know,
be,
yeah,
Yeah.
that as well.
you know what I mean?
It
Because
doesn't-
That's the part.
It doesn't sound like they're trying to fit a mode.
Nope.
'cause I'm gonna
They're,
be
they're
honest.
just continuing to do them,
What
and
they've
they're
always
doing it at
done.
a high level.
I'm gonna be honest, man. We got it from here.
Mhm.
You did.
There's some
But-
joints on there,
All right.
but Fife was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
trying to.
Yeah, Fife
I
was
think that's
gone.
what makes me feel like this De La record is so good, because they were
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to piece records around what Fife had left
Back then, yeah.
back then. But
This one
this
wasn't.
one was it. Like I said, usually I'm not into these kind of releases where everybody in the group doesn't have a certain level of input because somebody just has transitioned to their spiritual essence. I don't feel that about this.
No, this because it's not. That's
It's
not what
not.
this
It's-
is.
yeah.
These are like done songs.
Yeah.
you know. So
I like how they was chopping some of the songs up would be one half, and then the beat and mood would completely change for the whole
Mm.
second half of the song.
yeah.
It's like you was damn near getting 2 songs out of the same thing, but like, now there's some tracks on this album that that hit.
Yeah.
Like both sonically and like emotionally, like some of the content matter on there. You know what I'm saying? So
that's impressive.
Like for them to still be able to tap into that, like, and that's what I give a group like De La Soul kudos for, is being able to maintain your integrity and your creativity through growing and advancing in the hip hop game.
And that's the second question here, which is how important is it that we have an example of a group such as De La that has overcome what they have to be here and to be able to present?
Yeah,
I think it's very.
I just think you want to go ahead.
I think it's very important because we've talked about what we've seen over the few years, like the past years that we've watched. All of our favorites have had some type of issue, right? Think about EPMD, but I'm just talking about some of the upper echelon group. EPMD, they had issues.
Naughty by Nature,
Naughty by Nature, it had issues.
Wu-Tang
had issues, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of these groups that we saw couldn't keep it together as long.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this project is a litmus. It gives
from everything else.
Yeah, and it gives an example for maybe a possible Outkast album. You know what I mean?
I don't. That ain't gonna happen.
I'm not getting Outkast. We're not getting Pete Rock and CL Smooth. I have given up.
Yeah, I'll give up. I give up giving up.
I appreciate the wish.
I will. But I'm hoping.
Greedy hip hop fan wishes it's a thing.
I'm hoping, man.
Just a Tribe Called Cast still makes me want to throw up. So yeah,
because we didn't get it, not that.
Just because we didn't get it. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I would really hope that just because I'm tired of Dre, telling you don't have reasons to rap, man. Like, you getting clear examples of.
Yeah, you ain't gonna change that man's mind at this point.
He gone.
I was just disappointed. Like, you didn't even see him perform at the.
I was disappointed in that too.
Like, come on, man. You could at least said your song. He said, yo, bro, these are your words.
I agree with that.
You gonna let somebody else come up there and him up?
Yeah,
he was whack for that. Come on, man.
That lets you know right there that he ain't for it. But
no, at all.
Like the pretty much what De La Soul was doing though is indeed setting a standard for what's to come. Later in hip hop, like we said, this is being written right now.
Yep.
So it's letting people know that if you're really in here for the art and not just for
a check,
social media clicks and a check, then this is a lane for you to continue to grow for your whole career. You can do this after you're 30, 40, 50, 60. You know what I'm saying?
And it is a check. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
And they did it, like I said, they're brothers, friends for life type stuff, I think that's a cool thing as well, too.
I also think that it's cool that, you can go to a De La show and you're not going to be mad if they perform new records.
True.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's the thing sometimes. Like, you go to a show and like, oh, well, let me play you this new record. Man, I didn't come here for that.
We didn't come
I came for...
Yeah. I'd be okay with that. The only old record that I really want to hear is Rock Cocaine Flow.
Mm-hmm.
But
wow.
Yeah, that's
I want to hear a handful of they old shit, but I'm cool hearing all the new stuff.
Stakes is high.
Now, if 50 comes, I only want to hear your old shit and your TV show theme song.
That's just because he has given you anything new. If he give you some new heat.
Nah, remember he dropped some stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't it.
No, I disagree, man. I like
I'm the Man. Heard it wasn't it.
I like I'm the Man with Chris Brown. He'll give you some stuff. It just don't
album.
Man, we talking about
he had an album like
he
for real
has,
sense.
Though.
Like I remember the Kanan tape. I'm the Man was on the Kanan tape.
Was it?
Yeah, I think
there's a couple of things before I self-destruct.
Yeah, he'll give you a couple records.
But the stuff that he had that was big was so big that it's kind of hard to, say, oh yeah, that 50 Cent song from 2017.
I'm with Terry on this one. Yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah, I'm cool.
De La is definitely in their own lane. Even when you talk about groups and artists that came up around the same time as them and after them. You know what I'm saying? So they're still out here doing the same thing that they were doing then. Because if you think about when they dropped, they came out with Flowers and Daisies on the album. And then you got like NWA and Ice Cube records around it and Public Enemy. It made them stand out. So they've stood the test of time this long and have continued to remain true to themselves. So,
all right. So that
last point right
it
here.
is the point that you made about 50. You know what I mean? And 50 reached a certain he reached a certain height in his music. You know what I mean? So is it that you can only continue to do this if you haven't made it to become a superstar? Like, because De La weren't never superstars, but if you become like a 50, because I tell you, I don't want to hear new Eminem records.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard Eminem records. I don't want to hear new 50 records. But all of these people became superstars.
It's kind of the gift and the curse.
The only example that I can think of that where somebody like that kind of came back was Jay on 444 a little bit. You know, I feel like, I don't know. Maybe it's a stigma that they have, that they reach it a specific way. Maybe it's a certain level of artistic integrity that certain artists have. You know, if they don't cross a specific point, they're just like, I'm just going to do me regardless. I'm not going to care about the charts and all these other, which De La, I don't think they've ever cared about that.
Like, will we ever feel that way about Kendrick?
I don't know, man. See, this is what I was going to say is certain artists cross a threshold into stardom and it makes them lose that spark.
Touche.
That created them in the first place. And I think a lot of these artists walk into that light and they forget about who they were and they don't have that same creative mind to create.
It's all about commerce.
De La has never made it to that point where they crossed over like that. Like, they've had shoe deals, they've had music and movies and things of that nature, but I feel like they've remained still in a kind of, I hate to say safe area in hip hop, but they were still able to remain themselves and it not sway them either way. When you talk about other artists, I don't think they operate in the hip hop game as artists. They operate in it as commerce, essentially. You brought up Kendrick. I think Kendrick sees it a little differently. That's why it takes him a while to put out album. I think it kind of leads to it gives people a little bit of credit when they put more passion into the work versus just pushing it out, just be throwing things out there. And a lot of artists that reach superstardom, that's how they mess up, or they start focusing on other things.
I think another piece of this that's very important that we're kind of overlooking is all of the tribulations that De La Soul had to go through. Like, they had a lot of stuff they had to work through, you know, and
all stuff with Tommy Boy.
Tommy Boy stuff,
that's true too.
you know, like that's a very, you know, having that, like, having to deal with all that through a major part of your time where you're supposed to be making, you know, music is another piece that I think is very important.
Yeah, that's true. Because I remember when they released all of their albums for free.
Yep. I got them.
Because they weren't putting nothing on streaming services.
Yep.
So they were missing out on all of that revenue and still weren't getting paid.
Yeah, I don't think that stuff was on iTunes. It was
nothing. It wasn't on nothing.
There was no way to get it stuff unless you went out and bought the physical copies. It was crazy work.
Yeah, I copped the whole collection too.
Me too.
I did the same thing when Pharrell he dropped all of the Nerd and Chad. What was the group?
Nerd?
Neptune.
Yeah. Oh, Neptune.
All the Neptune stuff. He had dropped in one time back in the day, and I downloaded all that shit.
And you can get all the back catalog of De La stuff now on their Bandcamp. They have a Bandcamp where you can get it.
Okay, so
salute to them brothers, man, to be able to go through all of that and still be able to put out, you know, dope product this long after, you know, their younger days or their prime, if you will. So salute to them. I'm enjoying it. Nas and Primo actually is a real thing now. So it's trending in the right direction as it relates to the older artists. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah.